Iran has launched its sixth missile attack on Israel in just 9 hours, as the war between the two countries continues to intensify. According to medics, there are no reports of injuries following the latest ballistic missile strike. A small number of missiles were fired from Iran, setting off air raid sirens across the Jerusalem area and parts of southern Israel. Israeli authorities say there were no reports of direct impacts. The Israel Defense Forces Home Front Command later confirmed that civilians in areas where sirens sounded could leave their bomb shelters. Earlier, the Israeli military said it had detected the launch of ballistic missiles from Iran after a lull of approximately 5 hours. The IDF warned that sirens were expected to sound in central Israel in the coming minutes as the missiles approached. The attacks come amid continuing exchanges of fire as the conflict between Israel and Iran enters another phase of escalation. The Israeli Home Front Command has also addressed questions about the shorter early warning times issued during recent missile attacks. Officials say the shorter alerts are not due to a technical malfunction, but are instead related to a range of operational factors involved in detecting incoming missiles. According to the military, the detection of missile launches and barrages can vary depending on several conditions during flight and tracking. In a statement, the military said it is not always possible to provide a long preparation time between the initial notification and the sounding of sirens. During attacks on Friday evening, early warnings were issued between 1 and 3 minutes before the siren sounded. This was shorter than the usual preparation window of 4 to 8 minutes. In the attacks that followed during the early hours of Saturday, the gap between the early warning and the siren ranged from 3 to 7 minutes. The military said this falls within the typical average warning range. The Home Front Command stressed that sometimes alerts may come very close to the time when sirens are activated. The military also noted that in certain situations, sirens may be sounded without any advance notification at all. Officials say this depends entirely on operational conditions during missile detection and tracking. The Home Front Command explained that advance notifications are sent to mobile phones in relevant areas as early as possible. These alerts form part of Israel's public warning system, designed to inform civilians of incoming threats. According to the military, early alerts are issued based on the detection of missile launches from Iran and the stage of flight the projectile has reached. This means that in some cases, warnings may arrive only shortly before the sirens themselves. Some unverified reports have suggested that the shorter warnings might be linked to damage to U.S. radar systems in the region caused by Iranian strikes. However, the military says this explanation is highly unlikely. Officials say those radar systems were damaged days earlier and not during the latest overnight attacks. They also note that the overnight strikes still produced warning times that fall within normal ranges. Meanwhile, the Israeli military says it carried out a broad-scale wave of strikes overnight across the Iranian capital, Tehran, and other parts of central Iran. The attacks mark another escalation as the war moves into its second week. At the same time, Iran has continued firing missiles and drones across the region. On Saturday morning, Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian, said in a televised address that Iran would no longer attack neighboring countries. This announcement followed repeated Iranian rocket and drone strikes on Gulf states in recent days. However, shortly after the statement, Qatar and Bahrain reported air raid sirens warning of incoming fire. The alerts suggested that little had changed despite the announcement. The Iranian attacks have sparked widespread anger among Gulf states. Reports indicate that Iranian drones have struck areas in and around hotels, an airport, and other civilian infrastructure. President Pezeshkian apologized for the attacks, but he also stated that Iran would continue to strike any country from which Iran itself was attacked. Many Gulf nations host United States military bases. At the same time, Israeli strikes reportedly hit Mehrabad Airport in Tehran overnight on Saturday. According to Iranian state media, the airport was among the sites struck. 2 residents of Tehran said the airport, which serves as a major domestic aviation hub, appeared to have suffered heavy damage. They reported seeing what looked like commercial aircraft burning on the tarmac. Just over a week into the fighting,
The war involving the United States, Israel, and Iran has already caused widespread disruption across the region. Hundreds of people have been killed, most of them in Iran. The conflict has drawn in countries from Oman to Turkey. The war has disrupted international travel and shipping routes while sending global oil and gas prices sharply higher. As the conflict continues, questions remain about the broader objectives of the United States in the war. President Donald Trump's strategy has remained unclear. According to reports, the administration has shifted between outlining specific military objectives and suggesting a broader effort aimed at removing the Iranian government. For now, missile launches, retaliatory strikes, and expanding regional involvement continue to drive the conflict forward. And with Iran launching repeated attacks and Israel carrying out new strikes, the war shows few signs of slowing down.
News never stops. The world keeps turning, and every turn tells a story. Wars, elections, geopolitics, Davids versus Goliaths.
While everyone is celebrating the US-China trade tour, Trump has been quietly doing something else across Asia.
These were once home to the ancient Silk Road connecting east and west.
But who's connecting the dots? Who's decoding the global storm? Welcome to Times of India videos.
You're watching a special edition of Global Pulse with me, Neha Khanna.
בהנחיה שלי ושל שר הביטחון ישראל כץ.
Durante este año,
We decode the shifting grains of geopolitics to you. From Washington to Wuhan.
Встановлені домовленості і сьогодні підписуються.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Just 2 years ago, Canada was one of the most popular countries for Indian students.
From Davos to Delhi, we track the decisions that move markets, shift policies, and shape the future. No jargon, no bias, just clear, credible, global journalism. Because understanding the world doesn't have to be complicated, it just has to be smart. And that's what we do best. At Times of India videos, we don't just tell stories, we build perspective. We connect the dots between what's global and what's personal, what's happening out there, and what it means for you. It's fast. It's fearless. It's making sense of the changing world order. Times of India videos. Because your worldview is just a tap away.